So, Carlos, in this module, we're going to talk about an overview, several things that are key to this whole public-private partnership. Let's dive into this and get into some detail on it. Okay.
Good. So again, thank you for having me on. And I guess the cornerstone about communications and coordination, it revolves around partnerships, right? And the trust and credibility between the stakeholders on sharing information. And if you have a non-existent or ineffective partnership, you're just going to be a slow and painful response where, if you need information, it may take time, or vice versa. And that happens because people are human. And if you have that feeling that you're not getting the information in an expedient manner, or it's taking too long, or you're getting the feeling that it's not the real stuff that you need to deal with the incident, you're going to question that partner, and vice versa if you're doing the same. And that's why I stress about I always say, tell them what you know, tell them what you don't know, and as soon as you know, let them know. And then again, that gets into the format of providing the information to your partners. And we've used multiple ways, and I think you have to have all of them in your toolbox, because depending on the situation, you have to have those available. And sometimes it's texting, as I spoke earlier, sometimes it's email, sometimes it's just a phone call, sometimes it's your liaisons that are at each, you reciprocate putting liaisons at your EOCs. So having those liaisons there, that's your mechanism of sharing information. But again, timeliness is important, and you want to make sure that you're telling them what they need, like they're telling you what you need. And the expediency, the trust really comes over time when people are proving that they're providing the information that you need and you're providing them the information that they need.
So I've asked you before here, can you kind of drill into, slow and painful, right? Maybe an example of what do you mean by slow and painful?
Yeah. So, say we're working with a good example is providing resources to a municipality to handle road closures due to downed trees and wires caught up with the tree. In the beginning of a storm, you probably don't have sufficient amount of resources, and you can't provide false promises to your partners. There have been a couple of situations in my career where the operators basically promise blindly that they'll have the resources there, soon, but in reality, they don't have the resources there soon.
Right.
And that puts you in a situation where I rather tell them that you don't have the resources and they're going to be here, a day or two from now, whatever the situation is, because then they know you're telling them, you're on the up and up and you're telling them the truth. Similarly, when I was in Puerto Rico, PREPA, the Puerto Rico Electric Power Authority, were making false promises to the mayors of the various towns. And I had to set the record straight many a time, because they had this concept of they don't like to give people bad news. So they say, yes, we'll do it. And they actually don't do it.
Right.
And I said, listen, I'd rather tell them the bad news, than tell them the good news. And that that goes back to the situation I had during Washington Heights back in 1999, where my vice president wanted me to talk to the community leaders and tell them one thing. He was going to go tell them, and it wasn't true. And I said, listen, that's not true. I don't feel comfortable with it. So he had me be the vehicle of providing the information. I was perfectly fine telling them whatever the situation was at the time, and they accepted it, right? But I did follow up with them. But the key is following up. If you don't have the answers, again, tell them what you know, tell them what you don't know, and get back to them as soon as you know. That really builds that trust.
So in that particular case, your partnerships, it's almost like they allowed you to be the bearer of bad news, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
so they didn't have to. Totally get it.